Let's talk
We
about the
got
Christian McCaffrey trade because me and Jesse just straight up disagree about it. Let's do it.
100%. So you just tell me, give me like the one or two or three main reasons why you don't like it, and let's see if I can try to debunk it.
Okay, so you're giving yourself the advantage right off the top. Okay.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll tell you why I do like it if you want.
No, I can go ahead. I can go ahead.
Right? Okay.
If I felt like it's like Christian McCaffrey's a really good player, but he doesn't address one need for the 49ers. He makes a strength stronger, which is always fun to do. It's always great to make a strength stronger if you don't have big weaknesses. But as we saw against Kansas City, they have major weaknesses on defense, on offense, on special teams, and you traded a second, a third, a fourth, and a future fifth for the one position that you have proven you can find in the 6th, the 7th round after the draft. You have good running backs on the team. You got Jeff Wilson Jr., who's killing it. You got Jordan Mason, who hasn't gotten a chance. And you felt like this was the all-in move. So as good as this guy is, I don't think just adding Christian McCaffrey makes this team a Super Bowl favorite. If they want to do that, then they got to address quarterback or D-line or cornerback or head coach.
That's fair. Do you
like, for example, one more thing before I let you go.
Okay.
Christian McCaffrey, hell of a player, right? In the first quarter, he averaged 9.5 yards per carry. He was killing it.
Yep.
After the first quarter, he averaged 3 yards a carry. And that's not because he's not good. That's because the problem with the 49ers offense is Kyle. It's the fact that his script is good and the rest of the game is trash. It's the fact that he scored 10 points in 8 minutes against the Chiefs and then scored 13 points in the next 52. A running back's not going to fix that. Frankly, that's not even Jimmy's fault. That is 100% Kyle and his assistant coach's fault. And until he can fix that, man, there's no quarterback or running back or player that's going to fix it for him. Even Debo can't fix it for him this year.
I don't necessarily disagree with that. The problem is trading for Christian McCaffrey, they're not going to be able to get with those picks a different coach. That's not the way it's going to work. So, yes, they forego those picks, but do you trust the 49ers to go out and find those positions of need in the draft next year with the picks they gave up? Because I don't.
If they want a new right tackle to replace Mike McGlinchey, if they want a new center to replace Jake Brendel, those are positions you generally draft in rounds 2 or rounds 3, and they don't have those picks. And, well, they have the comp pick, so they could maybe get someone. But they don't have those picks anymore. Makes it tougher. They also don't have cap space as much anymore. Makes it tougher, although they could get creative. I just feel like the Niners have been operating under Parag Marate's watch for 20 years, and every deal has been signed off by him for better or for worse. This is a departure. This is very much a Kyle Shanahan move, and it's pretty much like, hey, screw analytics, screw the cap. I want this running back. I want him now. And it feels like, even though they're going to keep him long term, it feels like a move to go all in, as they said. It's like the Emmanuel Sanders move. All right, well, then it better work, Kyle. You better know how to use him, Kyle. You know what I'm saying? Because he is good. He is good. I legitimately
you like Christian McCaffrey for Trey Lance. So next year, do you like it going forward for 2 years with Trey Lance?
If they can keep him healthy. Okay. He's expensive. I mean, not really, dude. Not really. I feel like running back is a position that the Niners should be getting cheap production out of as long as they have Bobby Turner. They don't need to be spending $12 million on a running back who can catch screens as well. Like, that's cool. Good player. But send that guy to a team that can't just produce running backs out of nothing the way the Niners can. Elijah Mitchell, Jeff Wilson Jr., Jordan Mason. That's a trio right there of guys earning like less than $1 million combined.
I'll say this, though. To me, I mean, he can be, if they wanted him to just be a pure slot receiver, he'd be a top 5 slot receiver in the league. He's that good. And he's at $12 million. You do realize he's half the cost of Deebo Samuel next year, right?
Is he that good, though? Are they going to get him the ball down the field? Because it seems like his average depth of target is the line of scrimmage. If he's just running screens and little choice routes at the line of scrimmage, he's not going to kill you. I mean, there's a reason that he was so good and Carolina was so bad. You can't make an impact like that. Deebo, there's a big difference between Deebo and Christian. People are saying he's like the next Deebo. No. Deebo, first of all, is a legit wide receiver. He can get down the field. And when he gets the ball in his hands, he will run you over. Christian makes people miss. He's not necessarily a downfield target. He's a very good player, but he's different than Deebo.
He's probably not going to kill you in the long game the way that Deebo potentially could, but oddly enough, he might be a better route runner than Debo. Debo's not a great route runner at
Better
all.
hands too. Better hands too.
Better, he definitely has better hands. Yeah, there's no doubt. It's funny because when you look at them, their stature is very similar. One just happens to be listed as a running back, one happens to be listed as a receiver, but they can both interchange. When I look at the trade, I don't look at it for just this year. It's very different than the Emmanuel Sanders trade, which was, hey, we're going all in 1 year. This is a 3-year play. And if Trey Lance is your future, I just start to think of the things that you can do with Trey Lance, with him, with Debo. There's a lot of things that you can do with those guys when you deploy them.
Fair enough. When they invoked Emmanuel Sanders, that was bad. That was not smart. Don't do that, because that puts all the pressure on. If they don't win the Super Bowl, it wasn't worth it. If they do, like, basically they have to win the Super Bowl for this trade to work out, given what they said about it. So that wasn't smart to do that. And yeah, it could work out long term. The only way I feel is like, again, you didn't address a need. You didn't make a weakness stronger. You added to a strength. And it's expensive. This is not a 23-year-old Christian McCaffrey on a rookie deal. This is 26-year-old Christian McCaffrey making top dollar for a running back. Think about it. So, like, you're saying, like, oh, what are the Niners going to do with those picks? Well, second, third, fourth, and a future fifth. If one of those picks hits, all of a sudden you have a better asset than Christian McCaffrey. Not a better player, but a better asset, because that guy's a quality player making bupkis. That's what you want from an analytics perspective. And you had 4 chances to get one of those guys. And now they're all gone. And now the Niners have to keep Christian healthy for 3-4 years, which they can't do. Nothing against Christian, but they can't do it. I mean, he needs to be Frank Gore the rest of his 20s and just be the Iron Man. And maybe he could on another team, but I question the Niners' ability to do it. Kyle's. So, hey, man, if they keep him healthy and win a Super Bowl, of course it was the right move. But forgive me if I'm a little skeptical about that.
I think it's totally fair to be skeptical. And what I'll say is that I like that you were skeptical before the trade. You talked about it multiple times before the trade.
Yeah.
And you held true to what you thought. I personally, that was not my favorite trade of the ones that were out there potentially, but I was not ever against the trade. And once they made it happen, to me, I kept talking about how the 49ers could go all in mid-season like they did in 2019. Everybody was worried about the offseason. They should have gone all in. I said, hold up, they can still do this quote-unquote all-in situation. They did just that. Certainly not necessarily a position of need, but with those second, third, and fourth round picks, the way they've been drafting, they certainly were never going to get a player at the level of Christian McCaffrey. And again, it's a long-term play. So for me, I enjoy it from that aspect. But if he doesn't stay healthy, obviously this whole thing can blow up in your face. However, I don't think he's injury prone the way some people do. I think he's had some unfortunate injuries, but when you've had 3 seasons where you haven't missed any games and you're on pace for 4th in 6 seasons, that's not an injury prone player. That's a player that's had some unfortunate injuries.
I don't know if there's a distinction, because the injuries accumulate. You know, that's the thing with Kittle. Like, once you get a couple injuries, okay, it's fair enough. So what I want to say is, let's compare this move, which I would call expensive to upgrade a strength, to what the Philadelphia Eagles did today. That's a really good team with a really strong front office. Howie Roseman. It's not run by Nick Sirianni. Good coach, right, but he's in a pecking order there, as opposed to Kyle, who has free reign, total free reign. Hey, you want Christian McCaffrey? Go ahead. So Howie Roseman today traded for Robert Quinn, really good player. Traded 1 4th-round pick for Robert Quinn, who addresses a need for them and plays a premium position. You'd have to say that's a really good trade. And that's what an analytics-driven GM would do. This trade for Christian McCaffrey, it definitely could work out. But it's not an analytics.
I just lost you, bro. Hold on a second. I just lost you on audio side. I don't know if that's me. Hold on a second.
My bad. Hold on. Can you hear me now? It was my fault. You're muted, by the way. It was my fault. I pulled it out. I know it was my fault. I ruined the whole show. Dang. We're never going to come back from this, guys. Everyone go. How did Jesse's mic get there you go.
Because I unplugged mine thinking it was my audio.
No, it was mine. I hit it with my wristwatch.
You're super hyphy. I see what you did there.
All right, so we disagree on the Christian McCaffrey trade. We both agree that, like, we'll find out who's right. We'll see what happens. We'll see. It just seems like the Niners, they called it an all-in move. They gave up a lot. Stakes are high. I mean, it's not about, to me, you're trying to formulate it as it's a future move. I look at it as a now move. And if they go to the playoffs and lose first round, or if they don't make the playoffs, it's like, okay, Christian's good, but my point was that he wasn't going to fix your problems, guys. And you have that's the thing. The Niners have problems that I don't even think they're acknowledging.
Oh, I agree with that. They certainly have some problems. Let me say this about the Robert Quinn thing, and this is when he was available. I was like, "Oh, Robert Quinn, that'd be a great pickup." And I'm looking into it now. I remember why I didn't like Robert Quinn. 32 years old. He has 2 years left after this. His cap hit next year is $18 million, and the year after that, $17 million. That's going to cost them Fletcher Cox, most likely. I don't think he's worth Fletcher Cox.
Well, the thing is,
they better win it this year.
They're all in. But so same with the Niners. They better win it this year. Because if they don't, and the reason they don't is that their offensive line isn't good enough, well, how do they fix that next year? How?
That's a good point. Free agents? I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. With, they got a lot of money tied up in running back, tight end, wide receiver, left tackle. I don't know. Soon to be defensive end, although I would not pay Nick Bosa. Can I just say that? Can I just say that?
Oh, no.
Dude, look, the Niners have to be honest with themselves, man. They keep paying people, and none of the players live up to what they were hoping. None of them. And now Debo's the next. Kittle was first. Fred Warner, all of them. All of them. None of them live up to what the Niners were hoping they would be, but that's a topic for another day.
Hold on. This isn't the first time you've said this, is it? Because I had people in my chat yesterday saying we should trade Bosa. I'm like, this is coming from somewhere.
I would trade Bosa.
Is this a you thing?
I would trade Bosa. Yeah, absolutely. What you could get for Bosa is astronomical. He's hurt now.
For sure.
He didn't play well last week. And frankly, the Niners' pattern is they pay for players hoping that they can be the best version of themselves. Jimmy Garoppolo, Fred Warner, George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, on and on and on and on and on. And they regress to whatever their mean was. And then I'm just like, oh, I'm so surprised. Like, okay, fair enough. Like, what about now? Nick Bosa's the next one. He's going to be outrageously expensive. And you're paying for him to play at his best, which frankly he doesn't do consistently. Sometimes he's hurt. And as Andy Reid has pointed out, he's a little one-dimensional. You run at him, you can run at him. Just saying. Anyway, let's see how the season finishes up.
I don't know.
Let's see how the season finishes up.
If you can get 2 first rounders, which you probably could. Oh man.
You could get. I mean, you can't get the next Bosa, but you can get. Look. The reason for trading Buckner, right? Let's trade Buckner because I don't want to pay $21 million for a non-quarterback, a non-edge rusher, and we can get another player for a fraction of the price who also makes an impact. Sound logic. Problem is they drafted the wrong guy. They could have taken Tristan Wirfs. If they had taken Tristan Wirfs, the deal would have worked out.
Oh,
same
100%.
thing with the Trey Lance deal. Like, you traded all those picks. All you had to do was take the right quarterback. If they did, it's a smart move. And we'll find out if they did. Because the guy's cheap. But
we know Mac Jones isn't the right quarterback. That's one thing we do know. Where are you guys at, Mac Jones fans? Where you been at?
What's crazy
Bailey Zappi. All right. I had to get that off.
Kyle moved up in the draft because everyone was so certain that it was the greatest quarterback draft since 1983, and there were 5 starters. Actually, now we're down to 4 starters and maybe 3. It was the most overrated quarterback draft I've ever seen.
Grant,
I don't know why everyone decided it was great.
I said this going in. I remember we did a show, and statistically speaking, on average, less than 2 of those. I mean, you can't have less than 2, but technically less than 2 of them were going to pan out. That's just the way that the law of averages work.
It was a pandemic draft. People were really excited, but frankly, even Trevor Lawrence was not a can't miss project. And so far, none of the 5 quarterbacks have shown that they're super duper special, although some of them could develop. Justin Fields is making strides, but seriously, it was super overhyped. And maybe the Niners, maybe that was not the year to move up for a quarterback. I can't help but notice that the league overcorrected this year, and all of a sudden they were like, let's just not touch quarterbacks for the sake of it. You know what I'm saying?
It's going to go crazy again this next draft, though. I'll tell you that.
Yep. On the goal line says this team isn't winning a Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo this year anyway, so who cares? It's all about the future. This season is weird and won't amount to a Super Bowl. Yeah, but when they traded for McCaffrey, I felt like they were saying, like, we can win the Super Bowl with Kyle's shortcomings and Jimmy's shortcomings because of this move now. And that's why they mentioned the whole Emmanuel. They said, we're so confident in this team. It's like 2019. All right, then win the fucking Super Bowl. Do it. Yeah. You said you can. Do it. Don't tell me it's about the future, even though it's partly about the future. Call him by his true name, Kyle Shenanigans. Yeah. He has a lot of true names. Ivan says, AZ trade a fourth for Hopkins. Eagles trade a fourth for Quinn. SF trades a whole damn draft for CMC. WTF, you call Kyle the common denominator, but there's a bigger denominator. Jed, fire yourself.
We need to get your dad again asking the question.
To me, this is an example of Kyle having no checks and balances in the organization. He can do whatever he wants. There's no one who's like, Kyle, we're not trading 4 picks for a running back. We're not doing that. No. I can't imagine that Parag would be like, hey, man, let Kyle do whatever he wants. I would imagine Parag was like, for the record, I don't agree with this, but if Kyle wants to do it, I'll back off. I mean, it just feels like someone in the organization needs to be like, no. The best coach, Steve Kerr, is a 4-time champion over here in the Bay. And he has a boss in Joe Lacob. I mean, Joe Lacob has an ego and a boss, and he will tell Steve Kerr what to do for better or worse. Jed is just so petrified because of what he went through with Harbaugh, Tom Sula, and Chip Kelly that Kyle has him by the short hairs and knows it. And I don't think that's good for Kyle or the 49ers.
If it was up to Parag, also Trent Williams wouldn't be on this team. And I was against the Trent Williams signing. I know people killed me for it. And he was amazing last year, but he got hurt at the wrong time. And he certainly does not look like the same player right now.
Maybe Parag was right about that. But you can sort of understand Kyle saying, look, Parag, this is a left tackle. It's the best left tackle in football. I'm overruling you. But to overrule him on a running back, that's a whole different thing. You didn't need a running back. It's a running back. These players get hurt. All right, man. Well, Kyle, you better have so much genius and creativity that you express directly through Christian McCaffrey. If only Kyle can make this work, right? It's a stupid trade, but Kyle's the one who can make it work. So make it work, Kyle. Turn him into the next Debo.
They have an all-pro at every level now.
If Kyle's the genius that he says he is, then this will work. I'm doubting him because I'm thinking, Kyle, dude, no amount of talent in the world can save you from not having an idea after your script. That is bigger than any offensive lineman, wide receiver, running back, quarterback. That's on you. So you got to fix that, and you can't just bring in some running back from Carolina and be like, hey, man, I don't want to do my homework this week. You bail me out. He's not going to bail you out. But maybe Kyle he has all the excuses, right? He's like, oh, I got new coaches this year, and I was planning for Trey Lance, and I wasn't. Okay, well, you got the bye week next week. You might be 3-5. You might be 4-4. Figure it out. If they come out after the bye week and just stomp the Chargers, I'll be like, okay, the Niners got it. They got it. They figured. But if they don't, I'm thinking, not this year. For whatever reason, that first game after the bye week is going to be very telling for this team.
Yeah, I was just going to say the same thing. If they come out flat like they did against the Colts after last year's bye week, that's not going to be good.
Not good. Can the Niners trade for an offensive lineman, or is it too difficult schematically? I mean, it'd be nice. I don't know who's available, but the Cowboys and Eagles just made trades to help their D-lines. They're trying to help themselves in the trenches. Frankly, right now, the Niners could use D linemen too, because their run defense sucks right now. I mean, they just got ran over by the Kansas City Chiefs, who don't have a run game, frankly. Like, no Armstead, no Kinlaw. Bosa has been exposed to a degree. No Greenlaw, no Al-Shaair. Warner hasn't played well in 3 weeks. Niners have a big problem on defense. We're going to talk about that in a little bit.
And Dominic too, man. He's out there.
We still need a corner. Will Kyle Shanahan rotate running backs now? I don't think they necessarily need a corner. They spent a lot of money on Trevarius Ward. They need to use him other than just on the boundary. They need to put him on Cooper Kupp this week. Don't put Jimmy Ward on Cooper. That's ridiculous.
That is ridiculous. Yeah.
He's a safety. Put the cornerback who's 26 that you're spending all this money on the best wide receiver. Because if he can't do that, then was he really worth the money? I got a lot to say about this matchup coming up. Derek Watson says, hey, Grant, why won't the coaching staff listen to you about Mike McGlinchey? He might be the worst player on the team unless he's hurt. What's crazy is Joe Staley came out this week on the radio and said it too, like, he's my friend, but he needs to play better. I don't understand why the Niners haven't been honest about this player. I mean, they give up on Trey Sermon and Ty Davis Price and all these running backs, but Mike McGlinchey, 5 years as a starter, it's crazy, man. I don't get it.
Because what other option do you have? Brunskill? Is that? I mean, maybe
yes,
he's
Brunskill.
better. Maybe he's better, but that's
Tom Compton was better. No one talks about that, but last year the Niners were 3-5, and then McGlinchey went out, and Compton came in, and they went 7-2. The Niners didn't go on that run with McGlinchey. The Niners haven't won. What? Not that there's a win-loss record is a stat for right tackles, but I'm just saying the Niners' record with McGlinchey in the lineup the last 3 years is abysmal. And he always makes his mistakes like right when they need him to not make a mistake. So, I would bench him like today.
He does make egregious mistakes at the wrong times.
Oh, consistently. Because he's in his head and he's a choker. I'm sorry. Toby says Debo and CMC are basically... No, they're not. They're not the same player. Debo is not the same. Debo, trade him to save half the money. Too late to trade him. Debo runs over players like bowling pins. Christian McCaffrey runs around players. They're different. They're different. That's the way I would see it. I've never seen a player like Debo who just punks people like that.
His name's Debo for a reason. Come on.
Is the TB12 trade a real speculation, guys? It seems like something they should be talking about. I don't know if they can work it out. I don't know. It seems like a lot of moving parts to handle in the next 5 days. But I feel like, think about it. Tom Brady's a free agent after this year. Garoppolo's a free agent after this year. I'm fairly confident Garoppolo's going to New England after this year. And where's Brady going to go if he doesn't retire? Here or the Raiders? Frankly, he wants to come back home. He's going to come here or the Raiders. So the Niners are in it. And I like Trey Lance, but the Niners have bungled him from the beginning. Now he's coming off 3 years where he hasn't played. Well, you can't expect to make the playoffs with him. You'd have to accept that as a growing pains year, which year 7 Kyle can't. Year 1 Ken Dorsey absolutely could. Year 7 Kyle can't. So he's in a weird position, and he could bring in Brady or he could trade for Cousins. But if he's the coach next year, he's going to do something drastic like that, and it just might work, or maybe it won't. You know, maybe it's a little late on Brady. He doesn't look so good this year, and he's a little distracted.
He's definitely distracted. The skill set's still there. I watch I'm here in Tampa, so I get to see basically every game, every throw. There's not a throw that he can't make. It's just mental right now, I think.
V says, when do we get the professional Grant in a suit? He went from a suit to a T-shirt in no time. Learn from Lowell. Sorry. I'll bring it back when you least expect
what?
it.
Hold on a second. Who wants to sit in an office chair on YouTube in a suit?
I did it for like a year. I don't want to
I know you did, and it was horrible, I'm sure.
I don't want to do it. It was no fun. Screaming from the top of the mountain, the main reason of our offense is out of sync is our center sucks. Just look at the film. Okay, well, how are they going to get a new center?
Yeah.
Oh, with that second round pick next year. No, the third round pick next year. Oh, maybe the fourth round pick next year. I agree, though. He does suck. Fortunately, the Rams center sucks, too. Callie Tremor says the Niners went all in at the wrong position. We have running backs that haven't been given a chance yet. Address the needs. Niners upgraded from a nation burger with bacon to a nation burger with bacon. Oh, that's funny. I like Nations, by the way. Do they have Nations in Tampa?
Never even heard of it.
Nations is quite good. It's a little local chain. It's maybe $10 for a burger, and it's very juicy, and it takes a legit 25 minutes for them to make you that damn burger. It's like,
better be a damn burger.
Please.
Very good for that wait
it's
time.
It's about 25 minutes, yeah. Jonathan says, in the long run, it might be great, but weren't we saying a couple months ago this was a Super Bowl team? We look good, but we're bleeding internally. Yeah, man. The Niners have done everything they can to keep this season afloat in the 3-4. Guys playing hurt, guys coming back early, like in October. If Jimmy ends up with the Pats, will you miss Flav? Yeah. Chris Holt says Niners going 13-4. 3 of Oh, excuse me. I thought he said the Niners were going to go 13-4. Oh, wow. 3 of 11 starters came back from injuries, and the remaining schedule is easy thoughts. Yeah, I think they're running the table, man. No, I really think the Niners have a major problem with Kyle and his script. And also, I think they have a major problem on defense, too. This defense is not what it used to be. I'm going to talk...
Well, I was going to say, I just don't know how anybody can look... if the 49ers are a good team, maybe you can look at the schedule and be like, yeah, that's a win. That's a win. Here's a loss pot. That's a win. You can't do that with the 49ers. If the 49ers lost to the Bears and the Broncos and the Falcons, how do you chalk up any win on the rest of the schedule as a for sure win?
You can't.
I just I can't see that.
That's why this team is so intriguing right now. Like, what is this team? Is it a slow motion train wreck? It might be. Or is it last year where they turn it all around? It might be. Does Kittle have any trade value right now? Sweet meat Pete. They can't trade him. They extended his contract. It would hurt them financially to trade him. Unfortunately. Nathan Flores says, I feel like if Banana Hands made the trade for Brady, he'd run a 2-quarterback system with Trey as his running back. 2021 Trey and Jimmy. Where's the creativity, genius? No, look, if I were Brady and I wanted to come to the Niners, I don't know that Kyle Shanahan's system would be one of the top reasons. The roster's nice. The location's great. I mean, the franchise is historical and relevant, big brand. You could have anyone coach this team. If I were Brady, I'd be like, hey, yeah, I want to go to the Niners, but I want Sean Payton to be my coach. What do you think, Jed? Can you make that happen?
That's not going to. First of all, they're not running Shanahan's system. He's going to come and say, hey, guess what? You haven't won a Super Bowl. Remember when you choked to me in the Super Bowl, actually? Mm-hmm. We're going to do what the fuck I want to do. That's how this is going to go. So you sit back. I'm going to carry us.
Because that's what he did to Bruce Arians. That's what he did to Bruce Arians, right?
100%.
But I don't see Kyle accepting that. And that's why they didn't bring Tom Brady here in 2020. In that case, Kyle, it's been such a pleasure, man. Good luck. We're trading you to the New Orleans Saints. And in return, we're getting Sean Payton, who is more than willing to do whatever the fuck Tom Brady wants. Thank you, Kyle. You really changed the culture, and we will always remember you for that. Tom Brady, make your move. Although I'm saying he could also go to the Raiders too. Josh McDaniels is there, tax-free state, close to the Bay, but not.
How pissed would Devontae Adams be? He went there because Carr was there.
Oh yeah, it sucks. I got to play with Tom Brady now. Oh, Troy says I'm here in the hospital for 2 weeks. Thank you for keeping me entertained, Grant and Jesse. Hey man, I don't know what's going on with you, Troy, but I hope you'll be back on your feet soon. Thanks for watching.
Yeah. 2 weeks, a long time, brother. Hope you're okay.
Yeah, heal up, buddy. Jesse says, love the show, Grant. BT, I disagree with you on Bosa. He was a DPO year. Convo until last week, just one bad game, overreaction. Hey, he's a great player, but look at the Niners' history re-signing their players. I would feel more comfortable in getting all those picks, but maybe I'm wrong. I'm usually wrong, but I'm actually usually right. Lauren says, if no Super Bowl is, will there be a max exodus like 2014? Oh. I don't know.
I mean,
a lot of guys are under contract. I mean, Kittle could retire. You know, McGlinchey probably should be gone.
You could see a Trent Williams retire out of nowhere. That could certainly happen.
Could happen. Black Pill Phil says, if Christian can't play interior O-line, SF needs to keep dealing buying. Outside of Trent, no O-line makes another NFL roster or starts. I'll put it that way.
The question is can anybody on the O-line play running back? Because that's what Kyle wants them to do.
Yeah. Miguel says Jimmy G limits the offense. There is no more wrinkles to help out this offense. Kyle has squeezed everything out of his offense, and Jimmy Garoppolo, we need Trey. I have a theory. The coaches they poured all their creativity into the Trey Lance offense. For him to get injured in week 2, I just don't think they have the same enthusiasm that spurs creativity for Jimmy. Like, we have to do this again. It's so hard. I don't want to. I was so intrigued by doing stuff by the idea of building an offense for Trey. And now it's like back to the Jimmy offense. And they're like, does anyone have a new idea? No. We've exhausted this. I think they're tired of the Jimmy project. They've been doing it for 5 years.
I said on my show yesterday that I think the league, I don't know if the league's figured out Kyle, but they certainly have figured out Kyle with Jimmy.